It's brilliant, honestly. Especially when they're at the low level, it's great to see the progression and how quickly they can go from a decent fighter to a very good fighter, and that's the most enjoyable process.
One of the youngest coaches in history to train a world champion, Shane McGuigan is a boxing coach with a unique approach to the sport. Following a successful amateur career, he was drawn to the science of strength and fitness, studying under world-renowned Charles Poliquin and at the Irish Strength Institute. Where other coaches focus on sparring and delegate responsibility for strength and conditioning or nutrition, McGuigan covers all bases.
Coming from that background, doing those courses, I know the different energy systems, and I know you've got to tick off every single box to make a complete athlete. Strength and conditioning program is completely different for every single boxer. We look at where they are in camp. Some people come into camp 2 stone overweight, sometimes even more. It's completely different for every single person. You've got different body shapes. You've got endomorphs, mesomorphs, ectomorphs. So people that are naturally skinny, they're not quite as strong, so they've got to do a few more reps to get the desired effect. Nutrition is another point that I studied on, and I think it's massively important. 10 years ago, or even less than that, 5 years ago, everyone was doing the same thing. They were still starving themselves. They were underperforming because of that. And I think, from my point of view, I've got to look at macronutrients when we're placing the carbohydrates in on the foods. Supplementation and hydration. I mean, those are the big factors.
Having originally gotten into boxing through his father, former WBA world champion Barry McGuigan, Shane's training stable has included the likes of David Haye, Carl Frampton, and now George Groves, as well as many up-and-coming fighters. Working with different body shapes and personalities, McGuigan aims to achieve the perfect training approach for each individual.
The process that I go through with my boxers, it differs between the level that they're at. I think you should have a 12-week camp if you're going into a championship contest. They get a week per round that they're doing. We go through all the different energy systems, so we sort of build endurance in them at the start, we build strength into them, and then we build power into them in the end. And that, obviously, you'll see the peak.
Let's go!
A lot of trainers will see them getting fitter, so they'll do more. But it's like, okay, look how fit he is, then start bringing the reins off because he's already got that fitness. You can't push them too hard, and you've got to pull off the reins and make sure that they're saving themselves for the fight. On a weekly basis, it would always be boxing is the first session of the day, and then all the other supplementary stuff like the weight training, the track, the conditioning circuits, they're all secondary, so they'll go in the evening sessions. I'll use pad work for a lot of different things, and then I'll work on technique whenever I'm doing it. If I've got a person that is from the amateurs, and at that stage we're working on technique, how to throw the shot, what comes after a right hand, where you roll, you slip, whichever thing it is, we're working on choreographing movements so that whenever you do something 10,000 times it becomes a habit, and then he naturally does it, he hits that shot in sparring and he rolls out. Then after that it becomes a tactical sort of standpoint. It's like, okay, who's your opponent? Where do you need to be? What positioning? Is he a southpaw, orthodox? Is he aggressive? Does he move away? Do you have to go and get him? You can do so much with pad work, but you've got to spar. If you don't spar, you don't get your timing, you don't get your reflexes. The fact is when you get clipped a couple of times, there's nothing better to waken you up as an athlete than getting hit around the head, and make sure you're not going to do that same mistake twice. We'll spar anywhere between 100 and 200 rounds for a fight. From a tactics sort of standpoint, my job is to watch the opponent, watch him, not just in one fight or 2 fights, we've got to watch him on all his fights and make sure that you can see his strengths, see his weaknesses, and you just got to make sure that you're prepared for the opponent. And from where I come in, I've got to make sure I replicate the opponent. I've got to move around, be fleet-footed, or come at them and work on different punch combinations. And I mean, it's just a combined effort. We've got to make sure that the sparring's right, make sure the pad work's right, make sure we analyse the fighter, and the boxer that I'm working with is aware of that. He doesn't underestimate him. Your elbows can get sore. I think I can get that one on camera for you. You're constantly resisting punches all day long, and if you're weak, your body and your joints are going to take the impact. Whereas if you've got a little bit of muscle and a bit of strength behind that, your muscle can be the shock absorbers. So I definitely wouldn't be doing this when I'm 70 years old. I'll have some other person do it, and I might take the more mental role that my dad takes. I'm just trying to be the best coach I can be.